Hey, Howard Jacobson here. So we have guests staying with us, and one of them is a whiz with a Swiss Army knife, and he always carries it in his pocket. It's a thin little one. I think it's the Victorinox Spartan. It's got maybe 6 or 7 tools, but he can do just about anything with it. It's got big knife, little knife, flathead, Phillips head, all can opener. I don't know what else. But whatever needs doing, peeling and coring apples, fixing the lights, just a whiz with his tool, and I've never seen him without it. Which reminds me of this whole movement that I'm sort of interested in a theoretical and kind of curious way about the prepper movement. So preppers, people who are preparing for whatever. Some of them are preparing for, doomsday or the end of the world according to the Mayan calendar. Whoosh, that one seems to have been averted. But also, Hurricane Sandy, power outages, the collapse of civilization as we know it at whatever level, or a localized flood or a storm. It's nice to feel like you're prepared and to feel like if something happens, you're not, totally without resource and capability. And so some of this is preparing for things that probably won't happen. Now, one of the big things that these people like to talk about is EDC, everyday carry. This is a very sort of gear focused culture. Like, what do you carry? What do you got with you? And they argue about things like how much paracord to carry with you and whether you should have dental floss for fishing line and suturing, and what kind of multi-tool, and do you carry a knife? And a lot of them are into various weapons of defense and offense, K-bar knives and mace and pepper spray and various different types of brass knuckles and things like that. And there's all subculture of people who take pictures of, they lay out their everyday carry on a table and they take pictures of it and post it to sites. And so I got thinking about, everyday carry. First I was like craving the Victorinox Spartan, thinking, boy, if I only had a knife like that, I could be that handy. As if I could just fix things and know how to repair things and be able to, do all sorts of fancy stuff just by having the tool. Now, to their credit, the smarter EDC people, or the more honest ones, say the tool doesn't matter whether you have a Leatherman or a SOG or a Victorinox or a Wenger. Everyone's different, but the main thing is whatever you got, make sure before the emergency strikes that you know how to use it, that you're trained in it. So, anyone gets a gun under their pillow and they've never fired a gun before, if there's a break-in, that gun is worse than useless. Or Steve Harris, who talks about being prepared for emergencies in terms of like power, having enough food and water, and especially fuel or diesel or wood or whatever it is that's going to provide heat or stuff. Talks about suppose you buy this generator and you never take it out of the box, and then one day all sorts of shit happens and you need the generator, and it's pouring with rain and it's dark and the kids are crying and you've hurt yourself trying to lug it out of the shed, and now you're taking it out of the box and you realize that you can't pour the gasoline in the way you thought. You need a funnel and you don't have a funnel, and you can just imagine what that would be like to have to use a tool that you've never used before in the direst of situations. So that got me thinking about my own everyday carry, not what's in my pockets or my backpack, but what's in my head. What tools do I want in my head that I have access to and I've trained with? So when dire emergencies happen or when stressful situations occur, I can just reach for those tools and use them without worry, without delay, without having to learn them. Just things that have become part of me. What kind of tools do I want to carry in my mind? And the one that came to me most, and this is, I think, also appropriate for the preppers who are running around with various types of weapons, is nonviolent communication. So if you've been watching my videos, you know that I talk about this a lot. And basically, nonviolent communication is a way to address conflict, a way to help other people get away from potentially dangerous displays of negative emotion, of anger, of acting out of fear, of acting out of judgment or hatred, and getting people to get in touch with what would really meet their needs, and getting them into a place where they are able to listen to how they can help meet other people's needs. So it really is a way of diffusing tensions and creating peace, creating a compassionate environment. So if you imagine you're walking through the world and, okay, you can have a gun in your pocket, you can have a knife, you can have pepper spray, you can have mace, you can have brass knuckles. But if those things come from a place of assuming that the world is a dangerous place and the way to deal with it and the way to be realistic is to always be armed to the teeth and ready to attack, ready to defend, you're probably going to bring that reality into your life at some level. Now, you can carry those things, but the more important thing is the attitude that you also carry with you in your mind. So what I'd like to carry is the nonviolent communication attitude of all human beings are valuable and all human beings have needs that are worth meeting, needs that are good and true and right. And whenever anyone is expressing anger or fear or hatred or jealousy or selfishness or anything, that's just as Marshall Rosenberg says in his book, Nonviolent Communication, that's just a tragic expression of an unmet need. And when people can get in touch with their true needs, then they don't express in that way. Then they express peacefully and compassionately, even if they're upset, even if they're angry, even if they're scared. It's not the feeling itself that impels us, it's the resistance to the feeling. So for me, my mental toolkit includes, number one, nonviolent communication, so that all those weapons that I may or may not carry are really last resort. And they're always for the protective use of force and never because I'm triggered and I have to act it out. So I would encourage everyone to consider what's in your mental EDC. What are the skills that you develop for everyday carry in your mind that can help get you through some of the toughest circumstances that life may ever throw at you? So that's all for today. Talk to you next time.